Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to KSR's rapid reaction of Kentucky's 60-56 loss to the South Carolina Gamecocks. It was a back-and-forth game, and at times you sat there and thought to yourself, are the Gamecocks just going to blow this one open? Like, is Don Staley's team going to just wipe the floor with Kentucky, right? They get out to this 14-point lead, and then entering the fourth quarter, it's 54-31, and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, is Kentucky, like, do they have a shot? And they claw back, right? At one point, the game's tied, and then with 10 seconds to go, Kentucky's down 60. Let's see, hold on, what is it, 58-56? At that point, Medina Okot breaks away for a layup to end the game. And look, I could try to break this game down into small pieces, right? It's the same thing it is with every loss, right? You make a layup here or there, you make a couple free throws here and there, and Kentucky wins the ball game. That didn't happen. But I'm going to sit here and talk about the big picture because that's now what we're all kind of focused on as we head into the SEC tournament. Kentucky finishes the regular season 21-9, 8-8 in the SEC. First of all, if you told me that before the season, it was slightly below my expectation. I think the number I picked was 23-7. So 2 more losses, but you had Tiani Key out for 6 games. And actually, I think it was 8 games counting Hofstra and Wright State. So, at the end of the day, is 21-9 really that bad? 8-8 in the best conference in America, is that really that bad? I don't think so. And as Don Staley post-game, she was like, look, Kentucky's done a great job with their resume. She's like, the SEC, we've never seen anything like this. And Kenny was very clear about, I don't think there's 16 teams better than us. But at the same time, I actually really, really liked Kenny's philosophy and mentality, ideology on this, where it was, first of all, wipe 21-9 away. We're 0-0. Real season starts now. And I was also fond of the idea, look, at the end of the day, we're battle tested, and we'd love to play here. And what was a great crowd today, by the way, blue over here, white behind me over there, loudest, best crowd of the year by far, great stuff. Kenny was like, we're going to do everything we can to play at home. But at the same time, if we have to go on the road, if we have to, go play a 4 seed in their gym, let's do it because we're battle tested. And that's exactly the kind of mentality I think this Kentucky team needs heading into the postseason. It was, again, a back and forth game all game long, and Kentucky held South Carolina to a season low 60 points. For one, I was really disappointed in the way Tiani Key played. Right, she didn't give you much production. Took Asia Boone a while to get going. Toni Morgan these last couple of games just hasn't been herself. She spent the end of the game on the bench, really, for the last several minutes. Asia Boone was running the offense, and I thought she actually did a pretty good job. Kenny Brooks seemed to think the same thing. But, look, Kentucky, as Kenny said in his post-game presser, was probably playing its best basketball at the end of January. But I'd say they're pretty close to that point right now. Right? Or the beginning of January, I should say, when they beat LSU. Right? And it's disappointing to end the season the way you have. And you look at, where they're going to stand in the SEC for the SEC tournament. First of all, Georgia's blowing out Florida, so we can't worry about Georgia. They're going to be ranked ahead of Kentucky. Ole Miss, last I checked, was down 55-53 to Texas A&M. By the time this rapid reaction is over, we'll probably have a final score for that game. And hopefully Texas A&M comes out on top because I think I'd have to go look at everything. I think Kentucky would be the 8 seed at that point and get a first-round bye. Regardless of if Kentucky's the 8 or 9, because they're not going to be at the 7 at this point. If Kentucky's the 8 or 9, they're going to meet South Carolina on Friday. So, to me, this next week is, all right, don't lose to Arkansas, right? When you play them on Wednesday, if you play them on Wednesday, whoever you play Thursday, beat them too, right? You're either going to play the 8 or you're going to play whoever the 9 ends up being. So most likely you're just going to end up playing Georgia or, I guess, Ole Miss, right? And at that point, you're like, okay, let's go play them. And I think Kentucky needs to win that game. And then when you get to Friday, you just took South Carolina to down to the wire, right? It was a 2-point game. So I feel good about where this team's at. I feel good about, what this group has been able to accomplish. And It sucks because I think some people are going to look at this season in a negative light because of the injuries and whatnot. But at the same time, man, give me this team over anyone, right? Give me this team on the road against a 4 seed if that's what it comes down to. Give me this team, if they're the 4 seed. In this kind of environment, yeah, give me Kentucky, right? I mean, Kentucky, I posted this on Twitter a while back. Kentucky's only losses on the season with Tiani Key healthy are to Maryland in November on a neutral court, to Vandy twice, top 5 Vandy team by combined 3 points, Texas on the road, who did not lose at home this season, and that game, I believe, was a 1-point game with 5 minutes to go, and South Carolina, who you just took down to the final seconds of the game, right? I, again, cannot be convinced that this is not a top 16 overall seed, right? I said this to someone post-game. I would freaking love to watch Minnesota play South Carolina. I would love that. Or most of those, 12 through 16 teams. I would love to see how they play against South Carolina because let me tell you, they lose by 30 or 40 points, right? Kentucky, again, there were times in this game where it felt like South Carolina was going to blow them out the gym. But that didn't happen. So I refuse to give up on this group. And, we saw with the crowd today, I don't think BBN's ready to give up. I think BBN feels good about this team. I feel good about them. And at the end of the day, it's just about going out there and executing. It's about, okay, can you cut out the turnovers a little bit? Can you make a layup here or there? Can you make a free throw here or there? It's going to be the small things that decide games, but that's March. And let me tell you, this is a much better position to be in than losing to South Carolina by 40 and not being in these games at all and not feeling you have any shot in the dark. So, again, 21-9, 8-8 in the SEC, and Kenny Brooks post game he said, "I'm not scoreboard watching. We media and fans, we're going to be scoreboard watching a little bit. We're going to be seeing, does Ole Miss lose? How does Alabama fare in their final game of the regular season? How's all this going to end?" But at the end of the day, whatever happens with Kentucky, as a former coach here once said, I like my team, and I feel like whatever bracket you put Kentucky in, I think you could really sit there and say, this is the team that'll make it to the Sweet 16, at least. Like, this team can make a run in the big dance. So, look, we're going to cut this Raptor reaction a little short because there's only so much to say, right? There's only so much to say. First of all, when you fall 60-56 to a great team, right? We saw some great efforts. Claire Strack had a phenomenal game. And I will talk about Senior Day because Josie Gilvin, Jordan Obi, Amelia Hassett, Tiani Key, Tony Morgan. We're not going to end up cutting this short at all, actually. We honored them before the game, and it was actually really beautiful. Of course, behind me here, they had the pictures and everything, and it was a beautiful scene. Georgia Amor was in town. It was wonderful to see her back in Lexington. Glad to see her back home. And then you have Savvy Swords and Emily McDonald, who just took a trip to Japan to play for, playing with Luha, and they're back in Lexington to see the Cats. And Sydney Mobley was in town as well, 5-star recruit in the 2027 class, number 12 overall on Rivals, right? So it's good to see that. And again, with these games, South Carolina, Vandy twice, Texas, you were in these games. I mean, even Maryland down to the wire. And if we're going to talk about, with Kentucky or with Tiani Key out, you beat Oklahoma, and then you got a win over Louisville, got a win over Ole Miss, got a win over LSU. Like, that's a better resume than a lot of teams have, right? I think Kentucky, they're going to finish with one quad 2 loss, and it's going to be to Georgia, who's like number 30 to 35 in the net, and that was with Tiani Key out. Okay. And you go look at some of these other teams' resumes who might have a quad 3 in there, or, they don't have really any quad 1 wins. Kentucky's got, I think, 4 quad 1 wins on the year. Might end up being 5. I don't know. Depends how the net shakes up. But, again, it was good to have those folks in town. It was good for the seniors to be recognized for everything they've done for this great program. I hope this is not the last game here in Memorial this year, because BBN deserves to see at least a couple of more games from this group in person. But hey, if it's on the road, hopefully we're all on the road together. So again, I'm Phoenix Stevens here with KSR's Rapid Reaction of Kentucky's 60-56 loss to Ole Miss. Again, I like my team. Take them against just about anybody. So thank you all so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, do all those wonderful things. I appreciate it. Stephen Peake's going to appreciate it. More importantly, we're all just going to be in this together and see how the SEC tournament goes. We're going to see where Kentucky ends up being in the NCAA tournament. They hosting? They not? We're going to find that out together. And let's just enjoy the ride. So until next time, peace out. Go Cats.